is a loser's bracket match, which means the winner of this race continues on, and the loser goes home to cry and make excuses.
They were making excuses before they started. What are you talking about making it after?
Pre-race chat is sacred, man. Wow, Cure 4 and Fade, level 1. I'm gonna throw up.
Zap in the Black Magic Shop and Temper.
It's worth noting that with those spells in slot 1 and 3, those are both Red Mage learnable. So Red Mage looking super worthwhile this seed. Boy, that is a pretty stacked level 1 right there. Oh, and Sho is going for the party remake. Oh, is he a man after my own heart?
Is that a commentator's curse, or I don't even know?
Wait, did he remake it to the same? Oh no, he mislearned spells. Is that what he did? He had to remake his party, but he picked the same guys.
Maybe.
I think he might have accidentally learned some spells in the Black Magic Shop that he didn't want once he saw Cure and Fade available. That's probably what happened.
Yeah, I would definitely want to pick up 2 Fades first with those options.
Oh yeah, definitely. Unfortunately, all of his character names are now look like they're yelling. I guess it's gonna be a scary seed now, right, Trenton? All right. Nothing. All right.
I don't know. I was trying to think of what we've talked about so far and what we haven't, but I imagine that's going to be an ongoing process for the night.
So with the magic that's available for these parties, already we're seeing it's going to be a pretty straightforward beginning of the seed. Fade is the kind of AoE white magic, does a lot of damage. So as long as they can get cast off, they should be doing pretty well. But speaking of doing pretty well, Brottster is getting the business from these bones in the Temple of Fiends, and he just took a wipe.
By the way, Monochi is restreaming for us. Not Didi. All love to Didi, but he's not the one staying up this late for this.
Oh man. So already we've had an intentional party remake on Sho's side and a death wiped forced party remake on Broadster's side.
You know, I've never run into this, but just out of paranoia or whatever, I usually do save at the inn or a tent before I go into Temple of Fiends.
I do the same thing, actually. I typically will stop at that inn just to keep my characters' names and positions and the level spells I bought early. Just to prevent, because for all you know, in later versions of this tournament, any one of these early level creatures could be casting just awful magic at you. So it's best to kind of, pad your luck.
This is round 2 flags, so status attacks from round 1, as well as enemy skills and spells also randomized. So things could be a little bit different.
That is definitely true.
Since this is round 2, enemy stats can go up to 140%, prices go up to 240%, the experience gold bonus is 5 times plus 500, so if something gave you 500 experience, it's going to end up giving you like 3,000 or something like that. Something along those lines.
That is correct. The bones, I believe they just had a really high rolled attack. And Broadster was trying to save his fate and was just getting, well, quite frankly, he was getting boned. If I can just be real with you guys. Sho is in a little bit better position to withstand the boning on his side because he did level his characters up a little bit so they can take some of that damage.
So we see gold in the first chest in Temple of Fiends. I don't think either one of them got to the north part yet.
I believe you are correct. I don't mind seeing gold early on in the seed, but that gold treasure chest is one of the lower amount ones, so it's not particularly useful. And then, speaking of not particularly useful, the giant sword and the tent, not the greatest finds either.
Well, I usually find the fighter works better when you stick something in his hands, so I would definitely equip that.
I'm resisting the joke really hard right there. All right, Garland. Let's see if he's any scary. I think he's gonna get faded away. Wow, 264 damage on that fade. That Garland has been knocked down.
Never to be seen again. He won't possibly revisit us at all. Ever.
No.
He's done.
He's gone for good, right?
Don't forget the loot.
And as our friend Geyer often says, they have traded their princess in for a bridge, which seems like a pretty good deal.
You can't save the world with the princess.
Yeah, she doesn't float well enough to get you across that river. Brottster's definitely feeling a little bit of the lost time from that wipe he had really early in this game. Typically right around 5 minutes is when you want to be definitely having had killed Garland already, and especially with Fade available so early and with such a powerful and offensive magic spell, there's really, you really should be kind of plowing through these enemy groups really very quickly.
So by the way, very expensive soft potions here in Town 1, 1,000 gold apiece, so they're going to have to opt to not buy them. But that is a dangerous place to be in, not knowing where that stone touch will be. And I usually like to have 2 or 3 in inventory. Actually, I like to have 10, which is just not usually an option.
Yeah, soft potions do have a base price that's a little higher than your typical potion, so the randomizer can sometimes go nuts with how expensive they get. Alright, let's see what's in Matoya's Shady Skull Cave.
Other than Shady Skulls.
Oh my gosh, the crown.
That's why you check it.
Yep. This could be a fast seed, or it could be the ultimate troll seed. Time will tell.
Wait a minute, I called for crown to be in here.
Wait, did you? Is that what you said in the pregame race?
Actually, I think I said Temple of Fiends.
I think you might have, so I'm calling shenanigans, sir.
All right.
Shenanigans have been
I
called.
can't own that one.
Well, speaking of getting owned, pretty much every major enemy group on the way to Provoca to get the ship here, because Fade is just going to cut down pretty much everything.
Yeah, it's always good to have that damage AoE to start with, and since there's a number of them available, you usually will.
Yeah, and with both of these runners having a red mage and a white mage with access to that really great spell, we're going to be seeing, they don't really have to hold charges for anything. They can just kind of use them very judiciously.
Well, when you talk about late game, they'll be going in with most likely over 15 charges into a dungeon, so won't usually see that many unrunnable fights.
Most enemies can't run away from the power of the double fade this early. These groups of 5 and 6 wolves are especially valuable due to the high base scaling for this stage of the randomizer. Every single individual enemy has an extra, I believe, is it 400 in this seed? Oh no, it's still 500. Yep. So definitely these groups of 5 and 6 are very profitable early in the game to kind of get some quick early levels and spending money.
What does Provoca have to offer us? Invis 2 is here, so the white magic has been very kind this seed.
Whereas black magic continues to be a little garbage, minus temper, which is actually awesome. Alright, so yeah, looks like Sho going back to pick up Invis 2 for both of his white and red mages there. That's a smart pickup. Not useful this early in the game, but definitely will be very useful for bosses toward the end of the game.
And if you don't already know this, it's good to learn it quick. You better save before you go in against the pirates.
These pirates not looking too scary. I have a feeling they're going to be exiled to the 4th dimension here.
And it looks like we have some viewers coming in who were just watching Link to the Past. We hope you all enjoyed that. A little more randomizer action going on here. We've got a late one.
Oh yeah, a real late one. If you are new to the Final Fantasy Randomizer, this is everything you know and love about the original Final Fantasy, except we have shuffled all the chests in the game, very similar to the Link to the Past chest shuffle. So these runners are going to be looking for both the items that are absolutely required to beat the game, in addition to helpful items that will help their offense and defensive abilities. In addition to that, all the spells in the game have been shuffled. These runners have been blessed with a normally level 8 white magic offensive spell has been shuffled to the very first spot in the white magic rotation, so they have access to some very powerful offense early in this seed.
And for the tracker, we should have Sho with Crown. He picked that up from Matoya's Cave. I don't think Brottster went there yet.
I suspect Brottster will go to the Matoya's Cave probably with the ship. He's probably routing it just a little bit later.
And I apologize, Minochi's on top of it. I forgot that I had the video paused so that I don't lag. So that's why my tracker wasn't showing that. Great job, Minochi.
So yeah, early Crown is definitely very interesting. It does open up a lot of early game locations that would normally close to you. So it'll be interesting. If I were most of these runners, I think they are going to go around and do the Crown chest chain before having to go into gross ambush-laden Marsh Cave.
Yeah, I think those would be the last ones I would go for. Get your easy treasury ones. Astos, it's a little out of the way, but it's 3 chests and they're not that bad to check, and then deal with ambush row.
Alright, so we're going to be seeing Brottster picking up his crown. There it is.
For the record, I am not doubting Minochi's ability to track. I'm doubting my ability to remember that I've paused a video.
Life was very notable, available in the White Magic level 3. So that is a great spell to pick up.
The white magic continues to be nice.
Yeah, white magic has been great this game.
There's Fire 3. We got some black magic now.
It feels good to have the representation.
Nice non-competitive slot, too.
Oh, bottle available in Elfland. Didn't roll too crazy expensive, but it's still so early in the seed that I don't think any of these runners are going to choose to spend the money on it now.
No, you need magic for spells right now.
We also need money for magic for spells, too. It's a vicious circle. Alright, so it looks like Sho is on his way to the king in the Northwest Castle, who is not at all suspicious, and certainly can't be anybody else in disguise, I don't think.
He's got all those faithful subjects hanging around him.
Yeah. Oh my god, it was Astos this entire time, Tristan. I don't know what to do with myself.
Well, we find out if he's got anything nasty, because this will actually be a little bit low level to fight him at.
That is true, but I think Fade is going to make pretty quick work of him there.
There you go. He's a good experienced fight, by the way.
I can't handle the plot twist there. This is M. Night Shyamalan levels of Final Fantasy plot right here. So it looks like Sho is probably going to take his crystal and finish up the rest of the crown chest chain and get his mystic key, which will allow him access to a whole bunch of really quick and easy to check chests.
Yeah, you'll probably check the Elfland first, since you're right there. Sail up to Corneria, then sail over to see the dwarfs. You've got the biggest treasure chests available there. Then we see him swing right back to where he was, check the chests in Astos Castle, and if he doesn't have TNT after all that, then he'll go to Marsh Cave.
It would be pretty funny if after all that, TNT was still not crown locked in regular Marsh Cave. That would be extra hilarious for me.
But let's not forget, that's not the only thing he's looking for. Floater could easily be in one of those chests. Slab could be, those would be the required items. He could get something good like Ribbon, Moss Immune. All kinds of good stuff could happen.
Although, if I had to guess, I would say that if these runners find the TNT before having to go into Marsh Cave, I don't think we'll be seeing them heading to Marsh Cave intentionally.
Can't think of any
But I
reason
have been
why I
wrong
would.
before. Alright, Brottster is heading over to the biggest plot twist in the game here. Equally shocked to discover that Astos was the Lonely King in disguise.
Little subtlety, a very nice battle on the sea. He got the 5 blue pirates, which are very good gold. Plus you get the multiplier on them, so that's a nice payday.
That is very true. Although with the round flags that we're playing right now, it looks like even the small difference in base value doesn't overcome the gigantic 500 you get from every single enemy. But yeah, I do remember grinding those blue pirates quite a bit in my times playing the vanilla version of this game.
And the witch can see again, so she gives you an herb to celebrate. Insert your own joke here.
Look, it's late, guys. You know, you're gonna have to do some of the work on these jokes yourself, Chad. Come on. I want to see some dank herb jokes, etc.
Besides, somebody might come up with something original. Could happen.
You've got a lot of faith in Twitch, Chad, my friend. I like it. Question in chat, what is the worst vanilla spiked tile? Probably the spiked tile that has Tiamat 2 on it, Kappa.
That'd be hard to argue with.
Oh, we're already seeing a little bit of encounter table manipulation on a couple of these runners here.
For anyone who doesn't know, the Fiend fights in Temple of Fiends Revisited are all on spike tiles, so if you take one step back, you're fighting them again.
Oh yes, thank you for explaining my poor joke.
Is there really such thing as a poor joke at 1:30 a.m.?
Well, any joke that I make is just by default not the greatest. Alright, so we've got Sho turning in his herb for the key. Key is one of the items required to complete this game.
I like an answer in chat. What's the worst spike tile? And they say Phantom. I'll agree with that one. The rewards are so bad on Phantom. Who wants that?
Oh, and a ribbon, and the white shirt, and the slab. Are you kidding me? Elfland is just packed.
Well, I called that, kinda. I did say slab could be in there, and I said they could get other nice stuff like ribbons.
That is true. If you had also called the white shirt, I would have had to call you some kind of witch or demon and get out the holy water. And I've got a pun in chat that is great. Elfland, more like Wealthland. Well played, Almacia. You win, sir. Or madam. So, for those who do not know, ribbon is an item in this game that when you equip, it gives you a measly 1 defense. That sounds awful, Triton. Why would I ever want to equip a ribbon?
To not die to stuff.
That is true. Ribbon gives you protection against every single element in this game. So it halves damage from most attack spells, makes you near asterisk immune to most instant kill spells. You definitely want as many ribbons as you can get, and there are 3 in this game. And the slab is the other one of the few other required items you have to find that is in a random chest to beat the game also.
I didn't call the route right. We saw Sho go up to the Northwest Castle instead of going through the other places first. I thought you'd go to that direction last if you had to go to the Marsh Cave, but not what he did.
I think at this point he's just assuming he's going to find TNT not in Marsh Cave and is just routing that while it was convenient, maybe? I don't know.
He was closer there than anywhere else, so I guess there's a certain sense to that.
Yeah, like if you're already planning on not going into Marsh Cave, that's pretty decent routing. Corneria Castle not having a whole lot other than small amounts of money. That is the lamest treasury I've ever seen in my life.
Well, it didn't have the 34 gold or the 10 gold, so could have been worse.
That is true. So that is
Could
a
have had the
government in
cloth.
debt, but at least they can, you know, keep the roads open. So Brottster continuing his Key Lock Chest World Tour. Next stop, Temple of Fiends.
Three treasure chests in Temple of Fiends are locked up tight. How they got the Mystic Key to lock those doors in the first place, I'm not quite sure.
My theory is that that castle used to belong to Corneria, and then it got taken over by the evil Garland.
So what, they had a summer palace?
that was the royalty's vacation home.
Oh, we see the bones again, but they're not hitting quite as hard that time. They just miss.
I'm trying really hard to think of a missed bone joke there. I got nothing. I'm sorry. I failed everybody and myself.
He doesn't like what he sees in Temple, so he'll reset back at Corneria and head over to see the dwarfs.
Yeah, we are running out of key lock locations where the TNT could be. So it would be interesting if after all of this, the TNT was still in Marsh Cave. And by interesting, I mean hilarious.
Well, so you still picked up a ribbon and a white shirt, so I don't think anybody's going to complain.
Oh, no. Well, you can complain, but everyone would think you're just lame, so.
I didn't say they couldn't complain. I said I didn't think they would.
Alright, let's see what's in the Dwarf Cave treasure trove here.
Well, good. Always nice to have a soft in your inventory.
Professional cape. Oh, there's the TNT. Lazy dwarves it is.
I mean, could that be any closer to him? He couldn't just knock open the wall behind him and get it for himself?
But how's he supposed to knock over the wall if he doesn't have any TNT, man? Come on.
He's been digging a canal. He has tools for digging.
That is true. Alright, well, the laziest dwarf in the world, Narek, is now given TNT so he can blow himself up, so these runners can open up a little bit more of this world map. So Brottster with a little bit of an early lead here, but Sho is not really that far behind him.
We thank Narek for his noble sacrifice for our entertainment.
We should ask a Chopper to put a gravestone in Melman somewhere that just says "Rip Narek."
There you go. Maya pointing out that we just need floater for go mode. That is correct. That's the only other required item.
This could be a very fast seed, since we've already got at least one ribbon. But these runners are still going to have to get levels and potentially look for a few more safeties. Between White Shirt and early Invis 2, they've got pretty decent defense, but I think they're going to be looking for some kind of weapon to put in the hands of their fighter.
And don't forget to translate the slab, which I would do the first trip here so I don't forget, because I'm bad at that. Harm 4. Level 5.
Heal 2, okay. Ooh, fast. But that is not Black Mage learnable, unfortunately. Need class upgrade for that one.
Well, snag the Ice 2 while you're here so you're ready for fighting waters. And it might help in the volcano too, you know. Possibly.
Yeah, although with Fade level 1, it's nice to have backup charges because of the way the spell charge system works in this game. Having a useful spell to cast on pretty much every level is a very nice thing to have.
Translate the slab, Brottster. Translate the slab. You didn't translate the slab.
I don't think he did. He's not going to know the language of the toga partiers.
I mean, you could be doing it on the assumption you're going to come back, but it's just, in my mind, do it the first chance you have, and then you don't have to remember later.
You do kind of get habits in this game. Like, one of my habits is, I think early on when I started playing this randomizer, I accidentally went into Earth Cave without the rod. And that is just a brutal, punishing experience. So I've got this thing now where every single time I get the airship, I fly immediately to go pick up the rod. Like that's just kind of part of my route. So I think a lot of people don't translate their slab until they have the airship for some reason. So maybe that's just part of their normal route, I guess.
Ice Blue letting everyone in chat know how cruel he is, saying that if he gets to the Toga party without the slab translated, he's going to laugh. I'll feel bad for him.
I'll meet you guys in the middle, and I'll feel bad, but I'll still laugh.
There you
I
go.
feel like that's a
Compromise
reasonable
position.
compromise. I'm Switzerland here. All
Well, we might
right,
be getting our
so
look
we've
at
got
Crescent Lake.
Show, or rather Brottster seeing the EXPs fight, we like to call them. This fight does give a pretty large amount of experience in gold, kind of relative to their level. So this is a really good fight to pick here.
He does translate the slab right away. Way to go, Show. You're reading the wavelength we're sending out mentally or something like that. I don't know.
Is that what they're calling illegal messages to runners mid-race, Trenton?
I have no idea what they would call that. Do you have experience with it that I should know about?
Ooh, what you really just kind of like jujitsu'd that away from you back onto me. Well done, sir. Well done. All right, so we've got Brottster heading to Crescent Lake. He will be picking up his canoe here, and the floater is kind of the last required item left for these guys for absolute go mode. But the floater is what gives you the airship, so we are actually a little limited as to all the places that the floater could be for these runners. I'm trying to think of the trolliest place that the floater could be. At this point, I would have to say either bottom of Marsh Cave or somewhere in Earth Cave.
I believe it could be in Ordeals.
Yeah, it could also be in Ordeals.
So yeah, I'd say bottom of Earth Cave or last chest in Ordeals.
Wait, no, I got it. The Ruby is in the bottom of Marsh, and the floater is in Ruby Locked Earth Cave. Come at me.
Ruby in the last chest of Ordeals, floater at the bottom of Earth Cave.
That's also gross. Already I'm being called out for my love of Castle Ordeals in chat. It's a good place to go. You should go there.
And we should clarify it is not incentivized in this round, so it has the same chance of having good stuff that anything else does.
And by incentivized, we mean there are, in the vanilla game in the Castle Ordeals, there is a chest that contains the tail, which lets you class upgrade. And in Ice Cave, there is the chest where the floater is normally. But since these dungeons are not required to beat the game, the randomizer has an option to kind of incentivize them to make you go there where you normally wouldn't want to. And an incentivized chest is a forced chest that can contain any one of the quest items for the game, any one of the key items, or one ribbon or the Mass Moon, which is the best sword in the game.
We just saw the Bane sword picked up in the first chest in the volcano, which will let you cast Bane for free for the rest of the game, so that might get some use.
Yeah, and with weapon fixes off, it's not a terrible weapon, although it is class locked, I believe. No one can wear it unless they have class change.
One of these other little things that gets touched on a lot in the tournament, but it bears repeating. If you're playing the vanilla game and come see the sages in Crescent Lake, if you have not beaten the Earth Fiend yet, and yes, you can come there before that, they will not give you the canoe. You have to actually relight the Earth Orb before they will. However, in order to prevent crazy softlock scenarios, the randomizer will let you get the canoe early.
In addition to softlocks, if the early canoe wasn't a thing, it would also kind of make the beginning of this game a little boring and straightforward. Having access to the canoe definitely kind of opens up the routing a little bit and definitely makes it a much more interesting game to play. Alright, so we see Brottster kind of maintaining his slight lead, taking out fires in the volcano. Getting some experience. I'm curious to see with these runners having access to temper and early Cure 4, Fade, and Invis if they are going to opt for a power level strategy or not. With enemies and bosses only scaling to 140%, I could be very convinced to not want to spend time power leveling, especially in a seed like this where you could hit go mode very early.
Picked up the Silver Axe, which, for not having the entire weapons chart memorized, I think is actually a pretty good weapon for his fighter.
Yeah, I believe it's just slightly inferior to the Silver Sword. If memory serves, someone in chat can bail us out here. I believe it has less hit percentage than a Silver Sword, but pretty close to the same attack.
Ron's
that sounds about right.
If we've seen Exit and Warp yet, we have not. We've seen the Red Gargoyles, however, have Squint, and they take out which is going to force a reset.
I bet that's what he said shortly before he turned into stone. Does opt to re-pick up that Bane Sword. Can't say I blame him.
It's so free right there, and it can just be so useful. It's hard to imagine you wouldn't. So it looks like the damage is higher, the crit percent is lower?
Oh yes, that's it. Yeah, Silver Axe, 25 damage, 10% to hit. Or not percent, 10 points to hit, whereas Silver Sword, a little less damage, but more hit. So that sounds about right. Thanks for the save, Entroper. Entroper Zero, ladies and gentlemen, the author of this randomizer we're playing.
Meanwhile, some EX speeds. I don't think Sho has run into the Red Gargoyles yet.
Yeah, we haven't seen any showstopper enemy skills quite yet, but that just means that they're definitely coming later. Sho definitely seeing quite a few of these EXP fights at his point in the encounter table right now, and I don't think he's too sad to see him.
Hey, by the way, we're 30 minutes in, so let's run through a little bit of what we know so far. This is a round 2 match in the Garland bracket between our runners, so they must win or they will be out of the tournament. They had one forced party member, that was the fighter. They found the crown very early. It was in Matoya's cave. The bottle is for sale in Elfland. The slab was in one of the chests in the locked treasury in Elfland. The TNT was found in the locked room in the dwarf cave.
Correct. And Fate is available for level 1 white magic, which has had a pretty large impact on the pace of this game so far.
Yep. And no exit, nuke, or warp yet.
Other notable spells that we know the location of, Fast is available level 5 in Melman, but its position does mean that it is class locked, unfortunately.
He just cast Fire 3 on the fires.
Maybe he was doing that thing where he, like, you try to blast out a fire so it runs out of fuel and just dies. Maybe he's just getting next level with the strats.
Oh, okay, let's go with that.
Oh, those red gargoyles have poison. It is the kind that does the instant kill, so this ribboned up white mage is gonna survive just fine. Finally deciding to spend a fate so he doesn't spend an eternity trying and failing to run.
How many casts of life does he have?
That is a great question. Oh, and one of those fades, 2 of the fade casts resisted, and they have crack!
Now he runs. Or he tries. It doesn't work.
Jerk red gargoyles I've ever seen.
He attacked? Is he out of fades now?
I know.
Was that his last fade? No, he had 2 left.
Oh, man. Those are the angriest gargoyles I have ever seen.
So that takes care of leveling his white mage.
So he's got 1 cast. Oh my gosh, Sho. He's gonna try to run out of here. Maybe he's gonna look at these chests and see if he likes them and reset. That would not be a bad strategy. No, he's gonna keep walking. Man, if there had not been a ribbon in those crown lock chests, this would have been a just terrible volcano.
Yeah, so you're really glad right now you found Crown instead of TNT.
Yeah.
So he's going to keep that White Mage alive, and I guess he's probably going to go to the big room, which I don't believe he's been to yet, to see what he can find there. Hydra has Blaze.
Wow, and the Wiz Ogres had Squint also. This volcano. Oh
It might be time to duck out and go to Ice Cave.
Oh, jeez. Brutal. Brutal. I mean, you're already here. It feels so bad to come and leave, but, you know, if you spend 20 minutes banging your head against this volcano wall, ugh. Now, if I remember correctly, red gargoyles do not spawn on every floor of the volcano.
I believe you're correct on that. I think they only do 2 floors.
Correct. So, I mean, it is possible to get beyond their ridiculousness if you get lucky. And once you clear out all these chests, you know, you can get out of here, and one of the big floors that you encounter these on would be gone. So if either of these two runners, which are both pretty experienced runners of this game, are aware of this, they could try to gamble and check these chests and then just try to, you know, get the H out of Dodge.
Found some silver armor, did Brottster, and equipped that for now.
And a pro ring. Oh, and the black shirt. Does cast Ice 2 when used in battle, which is very nice.
Definitely happy to have that here. You won't have to cast Fire 3 at the fires anymore.
This is one of the more brutal volcanoes I've seen in a while.
Although I don't think he moved the black shirt to the black mage. Yes, he did. I apologize. I doubted you. I'm sorry, Brottster.
Man, if it's not reading, it's doubting the tracking. It's almost like it's 1:30 in the morning or something.
Closer to 2 a.m. actually.
Yeah, that's right. Well, luckily I don't work tomorrow, so and everyone else's pays. It looks like Brottster is opting to do just a little bit of grinding on these fires. I don't. Is he aware of the tenacity and just terribleness of these red gargoyles like Sho is? I'm not sure if he's seen him.
That's a good question. But if you're dealing with the fires, well, that was just on his way out. He just missed his steps like it's 2 in the morning or something, and you're not doing everything 100%.
Both of these, Brottster not as much, but Sho is definitely a member of the late night Final Fantasy Randomizer run crew. So he's definitely in his element with running this late, that's for sure.
Chat saying he got a first try run on the red gargoyles, so Sho will envy that, I'm sure. The hat is down over on Sho's side. Taking a nap.
Alright, so it looks like Brottster is going to be taking his hard-earned winnings, although they were pretty measly. I think the best thing we've gotten so far in this volcano has been a bunch of dead characters on Sho's side and the black shirt.
The black shirt and some levels.
Yeah, so, and honestly, both of those things are not too bad of a pickup.
And Sho taking a moment?
I was thinking really hard about whether or not he wanted to see the rest of that level up text.
I think he was planning out his route a little more. Is he going to duck out and save? He's going to go on.
A bold move. Although, honestly, if you died, you would lose mostly the levels. I don't know if I'd go back for the black shirt. Oh, the black mage gets squinted. Sho is just getting all of the bad luck for this volcano. So for those of you who might not be familiar with this, you might be asking yourself, why are these runners running over the lava? Well, it does indeed take 1 damage for every tile stepped. Every step you take over the lava is 1 step that you do not take closer to the next fight. Walking over the lava is basically free. It will not bring you any closer to the next fight.
And he's dipping into the potions before magic to heal. But then again, you don't want to give up those fade charges, so there's a logic to that.
Yeah, I can't say I blame him. Nothing too exciting so far in the rest of these volcano chests. Except a Grey Worm trap tile, unfortunately.
Great question.
And we're running out of... Was that a 10 gold chest I just saw there, Trenton?
Yes.
Did I miss it?
There was one. There was a 10.
Awesome.
And I think there was a 45, too.
There are, I believe, 2 chests in this game that have 10 gold in the randomizer table, which are objectively the worst chests in the game. So we've already got one of the mute chests down.
There is a chest that has cloth in it, which I think sells for 5 gold. I think we'd have to call that worse.
That's true, and it does clog up your armory screen. You've convinced me, sir.
Finally, a well-reasoned point wins the day.
Well, consider this. Can't you tear up cloth to make your own makeshift ribbon?
You can, but it won't have the mystic properties of a proper ribbon.
That is true. And actually, cloth sort of looks like crown with a capital C. It might bait you into thinking you found the crown. Alright, you win. Cloth is worse.
Oh, we've got an Agma.
We do. And that Agama is being faded away.
Would have liked to get an idea how many hit points he has, kind of maybe give us an idea of how much they'll do here, but with this party, I don't imagine they'll be power leveling anybody, but maybe you're thinking 20s, or maybe you're thinking no grind at all.
No. Honestly, I think both of these runners had a slightly rocky... Brottster had a little bit of a rocky start, and Sho had received the full brunt and fury of the red gargoyles, so I bet both these runners are feeling a little behind.
Hey, the Wizzogres have Rub, by the way.
Wait, they have Rub and Squint?
Apparently.
Wow.
Because they just rubbed B out of existence.
That is gross. There's no other word to describe that. So I think these runners have one ribbon and one pearl ring, so I'm sure the Wiz Ogre will always target whoever has neither of those things equipped. And it wouldn't be Final Fantasy Randomizer if we didn't have both players fighting in a Gamma at the same time. I just feel at home. It's like a warm blanket.
Well, if the blanket's on fire, you might want to get away from it.
Oh, the triple Wiz Ogre fight. Oh, no. Oh, God. The humanity.
There goes the hat.
How often do you see the triple Wiz Ogre formation? You only see that formation and that number when they have an awful spell.
Question in chat, what was the forced party member? There is one forced party member, it was the fighter. The huge
the red dragon.
Not many hit points for that red dragon.
Yeah, the fighter definitely cut him down pretty well there.
I think I would take advantage of that and grab a couple fights here. But that's me.
All that for a piece of wood.
That's all you got?
Look, man, I got out the silver platter, and I set the wooden staff on it, and I handed it to you. And you pushed that silver platter joke aside. You said, I'm going to take the moral high ground, and I respect you for it. Question in chat, what would happen to the Final Fantasy Randomizer if the Eye and Agama were removed? We'd find the next best place to grind.
But you'd still have to put something on those trap tiles, so it would kind of depend on what you put there. Now, if they put a party of 6 red gargoyles, then I imagine no one would bother with those tiles anymore. But there's not too much else you could do from this volcano that people wouldn't try and grind.
Wow, both of these fighters are keeping pretty close pace here. We're both on the carry fight at pretty much the same time.
And we've got Carrie stunning.
She is stunning, but tell me more about her spells.
She doesn't need spells, she has swords. But she over on
She's
show.
got 6 of them.
6 of them? I only see 4. Oh no, wait, 5. Although I
There are
assume
6
there's
there,
another
my
one.
friend.
Okay.
2 of them are kind of in
It's
blending
8-bit
in with her
graphics.
torso.
It's 8-bit graphics.
Let me assure you, my friend. 6 attacks, 6 swords. Alright, so we've got the red orb lit for Sho, making good time on the river on the way out of the volcano. Brottster also has lit the fire orb. So we've got ourselves a pretty close race here. Both these runners showing why they have progressed as far as they have in this tournament right now. And Windows 10 just wrecking Brottster.
Oh, Windows 10. Why did anyone think you were a good idea?
Alright, Sho trying to use the key to heal up his party. It does not work that way, unfortunately.
So will we see Ice Cave out of either runner? They're still looking for the floater. That's the closest place, and it's got a lot of treasure chests. No opinions, no guesses.
I don't know, man. I'm holding out for floater in either Crown Locked Marsh or Ruby Locked Earth Cave, but that's because I'm a jerk.
I think if I found myself in their position, I would wonder how I got there, and then the next thing I would do would be go to Ice Cave.
And it looks like Brottster agrees with you. He is heading in the direction of Ice Cave. Now, Ice Cave is a little annoying without either warp or exit, but there is just a kind of a dense cluster of chests in that cave. So I do not blame either of the runners for going there. It is the high percentage play. And it looks like Sho is right behind Brottster, doing the same thing.
And getting the same fight.
It's almost like they have the same encounter table.
You know, no one has asked us yet tonight if they're on the same seed. That might be the first race I've done that's happened.
It's randomizer tradition. Alright, so both these guys making the way across the river to the ice cave. Pretty neck-and-neck race here. I mean, 47 minutes into the race, and these guys are within about 20 tiles of each other. I mean, this is pretty incredible, especially considering the difference in luck and encounters differences that they've had. Fade Roll, thank you for closing the loop on that for us. I appreciate it, buddy.
Minochi beat him to it. Of course, now all chat's gonna do it, but
well, I have Manoshi ignored, so I don't see anything he says captured.
Oh, well, there you go. So we get our look at Ice Cave. We'll find out if anything's insane in here, but hard to imagine we'd see much worse than we did in Volcano, unless something's rolling around with Death or Stone Touch.
Yeah, Ice Cave is definitely a scary place in the vanilla version of this game, but so many enemies are in here that can have just awful spells, and there are a lot of formations of encounters in here that can have up to 9 enemies, like the one we're seeing on Brottster's screen right now. So, if if those cockatrices had crack again or something, this could be a very awful cave. Sho having just a little bit more trouble than Brottster did on the river on the way to Ice Cave. But does manage to get to the front just fine. Doesn't even save before he goes in. He must be doing the reset strats that our tournament admin star is so fond of.
I always think that's a bit of a gamble.
It is.
You might run into wizards.
The way this gamble works is if you do not save, you can kind of drop a save right on the outside of the river. You can canoe all the way into Ice Cave, which is why it took Sho longer. He wasn't able to kind of save scum his way through a lot of fights. Oh wow, mages no trance. That is awful. But if the short version is, if Sho goes through this whole cave and doesn't like anything he sees, he can completely reset out of it and be right to the entrance of the river and save himself some walking time. But that is risky, because if you die or wipe in here, that means you have to run all the way back again.
Yeah, that also will mean sacrificing any levels you get in here, and then if you find a ribbon or moss immune, eat something that's not required but still extremely useful, then you're keeping it and just eating that time loss.
Yep, it's definitely a gamble. I can see why Show is doing it though. It is a bold move, and if there's ever a time for bold moves, it's when your tournament life is on the line in the Garland bracket of this tournament.
Yeah, whatever you're gonna do, just make sure it has a chance to give you an advantage and win, and hopefully you won't run into 4 mages casting trance.
Trance is just awful. It pierces resistances, so even a ribbon will protect you against it, and it just stun locks you nonstop.
Well, the runners get the high five, and if Brottster finds out about this, he'll probably curse Show's
They're
luck.
they're just limp rags right next to each other in alternate universes.
Try and run away. This is not an unrunnable encounter, but he will get away.
Wow, the
Oh, and
quadruple
from
B getting work done over there. So yeah, Show, or rather, Brottster lost a lot of time on that fight, whereas Show did manage to kind of get through it a lot faster.
That trance can be brutal. In one of the early races I did, saw runners stuck in one, I think, for over 4 minutes.
Oh yes. I think the record holder for this tournament, I think was Czar. I think he lost almost 5 minutes to a trance lock. Oh, the tail in Ice Cave.
That's not a bad place to find it, because you definitely want to find it before Floater instead of after, because after you're probably not going to open too many treasure chests.
That is true. I'm a little curious. It's kind of an interesting choice to see if any of these runners are interested in class upgrading or not. I think a lot of it is going to depend on the equipment they find for their fighter, and whether or not they find adamant or something that only a knight could use for offense.
Well, I don't think they would lose anything with this party lineup, but they would gain access to more spells, including, I believe, the fighter might be able to learn Cure 4. So, bonus Cure
and
4
life, I believe, actually, which is probably totally worth it. I'm thinking more from a time standpoint, but it's so quick to go in and out that it's for the safety it provides, But I mean, these runners are really cutting it close to the line. I could definitely, if you tried to make a compelling argument for me to not class upgrade, I would listen.
Well, if you had Warper exit, it would make it a little easier decision, because you could get out of the cave faster. But the thing is, you're going to go to those islands and check those chests either way, most likely.
Oh yeah, I think it's probably the safer play to do it. The risk you're gaining from not doing it is, maybe 30 seconds. Not a huge time loss. But you do have to run around and learn all those spells. It's a trade-off. Wow, those sorcerers.
Oh, I hate the sorcerers. I don't even care if they don't have their vanilla skills. They're still horrible.
Wow. Man, that white mage has just been the all-star for Show's party. That one ribbon just keeping the white mage alive.
And again, he doesn't want to use the Cure 4, even though it would be so useful here, because of losing the fade
all
charges.
the way through that floor without even seeing him. Show can't win for losing on this seed. I love it.
Well, Brottster can't complain about the mages.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they've each had their own share of bad luck here. Yeah, that trance lock did cost him a lot of time.
A pro ring.
Not a whole lot of chests left in here. The only thing of real big value is the tail. I'm real curious to see if Show finds nothing, will he reset? Is I think the question we're gonna have to contemplate here.
I'm actually curious about the fact Brottster didn't move the white shirt from the fighter. You would think he would move that to another character.
Alright, we got one chest left to see if this was worth it. Vanilla floater, anybody? First we gotta get past the eye.
I see what you did there.
It's funny because he's a giant eye and he can see. Okay, never mind. Oh, just a short sword. And Show is having a think. He's in the think tank. He does reset. What a monster.
Okay, so his strategy paid off in this case.
Yep, he does lose the time and experience there, but he does gain a whole bunch of time back from having to go in and out of that cave.
And he doesn't get a pro ring, and I can't remember if there was any other treasures that I would even consider noteworthy.
Yeah, tail and pro ring,
Oh,
maybe.
that's true. So that means no class changes, but
Oh my gosh, is Sho the absolute madman? Is he a runner after my own heart? Is he going to ordeals?
it looks like it, and that tells me Sho feels like he's playing from behind.
Oof. Well, I mean, let's consider his options. If you're Sho, you're looking for the floater. You can go to Earth Cave, the top of Earth Cave. You can go to Marsh Cave, or you can go to ordeals.
Yeah.
And if he's going to do more reset strats, I feel like ordeals is actually, considering his crappy options he has left, is not terrible.
Yeah, the other advantage to doing it here, by the way, is this is the shortest distance you will ever travel to get to ordeals. So
Pretty much.
You, all things considered, you'd rather do it coming from here than instead of Earth Cave. So, this is a good time to mention that the pillars are shuffled. The pillars are shuffled, so they won't be the vanilla path.
Oh yes, that is true. Sorry, I was having a heart attack. I saw Sorcerer show up on show screen.
As long as you got a defibrillator on standby or something for the heart attack, but still got to get the information out to the people, man. You'll do the commentary from the hospital bed.
I've got the pads on my chest. No, I'm not touching anybody. It's just trying to correct my rhythm. Everything's good.
Chat, someone asking about the Earth Cave statement, and to clarify, what I mean is, for the closest you'll be to deals is basically due south the Marsh Cave. I don't believe that's correct. I don't think that's correct, but I'm not looking at a map right now. Anyways, so the pillars are shuffled as he goes all the way back to the beginning. There is, by the way, a treasure chest in that room.
Yeah, Ordeals is a little south of Marsh Cave, but I mean, Ordeals is pretty handy to go to. The encounter rate over the ocean is pretty low, so it doesn't cost him a ton of time. Like, if you were ever going to gamble Ordeals and have it like make some sense, it's probably right there.
Okay, fair enough.
But if you wanted to go to Earth Cave instead, I wouldn't call you crazy.
Show taking a moment.
Having another think. He's thinking, oh my god, I'm in Ordeals. What has my life become? Am I turning into files?
Actually, I'm guessing he's thinking, why don't I have a notepad out keeping track of the pillars?
He's thinking, oh god, the soft lock. The ghost of Czar is haunting us.
So, by the way, there's a treasure chest he's not getting right now, and he does that because this one is guarded, versus he can get the exact same treasure elsewhere that's not guarded. So, usually you'll see people skip it. We have ourselves
an hour into this seed, my friend. We have ourselves a route diversion. It looks like Brottster is heading over to Earth Cave.
Always love to see a good change up in strategies. Makes life
and Brottster's doing a little bit of encounter manipulation, and then is going to go check these chests. So this is we're gonna see very shortly whether or not Sho's play is gonna pay off here. We'll see if he decides to risk menuing or not to risk the soft lock.
This is where all the treasure will be, so we should get pretty quick looks at everything.
Beefy Curry in chat saying that Ruby in Ordeals would be sick. I would agree with that statement, but only because it would make me throw up.
No, you're not running this one, you're just watching it.
That's true. I just feel so much sympathy for these runners.
Since when?
Yeah, there is a definite flavor win, I think, to having the creature called Nightmare casting Sleep. That seems appropriate.
Found the heal staff, ice armor.
You know, I
Mage
guess they
staff.
did leave flame armor in the ice cave. Show did. So it'd be ironic if he went here and reset out, and we'll have left both flame and ice armor behind.
And some useful things with the heal staff and mage staff, although probably out of the range that you would use the heal staff now. I usually like to have that early volcano.
He's spending enough time menuing. I wonder if he's just gonna keep the 10 gold chest in ordeals. The final insult.
And looks like he wants to keep the equipment.
Maybe he's planning on doing a little bit of zombie degrinding, maybe? I mean, ice armor and flame shield is a pretty good combination to have on your fighter. I mean, I don't really blame him for this. He gets a free teleport out of here, and it's not like the ship sailing back is a ton of time.
Yeah, and I guess he'll go due north and get to the marsh cave and then go over to Earth, so...
It really
that was
depends
not
on...
an incentivized chest to answer a question in chat. It can be, and it will be in later round flags, but it is not.
There's the
floater. Is in
floater.
Earth Cave.
Floater was in Earth.
Brottster is technically in go mode.
Yep, that is a go mode for Brottster. Now he cannot complete Earth Cave as is right now. He will have to leave and go get his floater before he'll be able to get the rod to finish the rest of this dungeon.
You mean use the floater to get the airship?
Oh yes, sorry. Well, technically you use the floater to eventually get the rod, but yes, I was getting ahead of myself. The floater gives you the airship, and the airship lets you fly to pick up the rod. I know how to words. Oh no, Sho, is he going to Marsh Cave? Oh, this is not going to pay off for him, unfortunately.
Well, route divergences can make all the difference. And this is why some people will always take a required cave over an optional one.
Yep. With how tight the pathing was early this seed, it's kind of interesting that it all came down to about a 30% choice at the end. Because these runners were neck and neck for the first 55 minutes of this game.
So we also know we won't see class change. Well, actually, Brottster kept the tail, didn't he? So we can still see class change there. But we won't see it from Sho, because he's not going to go back to Ice Cave to get it.
I'm trying to think of ways that this play could pay off for Sho. If Masamune is down here, I could see that saving him some time in boss fights. An extra ribbon would be useful. I think if he found a ribbon, he might consider walking out with it.
I think his best bet is to find Ruby. Because that would take him straight back to Earth Cave. And there he would find the floater. So I think that would cause him to minimize the time loss here.
Yeah, that would be an interesting, like, quote-unquote false flag that would lead him in the right direction. Max plus Pi in chat pointing out he could find Adamant, which would be the ultimate insult since he left the tail behind. That is true.
For as nice a community as we are on Discord, for some reason when we're watching these races...
all the worst case scenarios just come out.
Hey, somebody want to give the Discord link out there? This would be a good time for that.
Come join our community. We spend our entire time thinking of pain and suffering that we can inflict on others.
Also, we're 1 hour in, so good time to run through what we've seen so far. This is a round 2 match of the Garland bracket, so it's winner, you're eliminated. They had one forced party member, that was the fighter. We found the crown in Matoya's cave. The bottle is for sale in Elfland. The slab was in one of the chests in the locked treasury. The TNT was found in the locked treasure room of the dwarf cave, and we just recently found the floater in Earth Cave.
And by we, I mean Brottster found the floater. Sho is unfortunately heading down a dark, floaterless path. Alright, and immediately running to go do the class change.
Yeah, and even without exit, I like that decision. I just feel like it's too much to gain for the 20-30 seconds.
Oh yeah, definitely. To clarify earlier, when I was talking about class changing, I wasn't saying I was against the idea. I was just kind of debating out loud whether or not they were going to make it a high priority.
So if you're new to playing Randomizer or trying to speedrun the Marsh Cave, one of the things you'll want to learn is that several of the chests are mirrored contents, so you can get the same treasure in one of two locations, and the best way to do that is just get a map open and get used to the idea of which ones are the same. The Zeus Gauntlet.
Yeah, I can't say I blame. Oh, another ribbon.
That's a good find.
Everything's coming up, Brottster. I wonder at what point he'll decide to stop looking at chests. The opal armor is a pretty nice pickup. Higher base defense, but the lightning that it resists is potentially a little less common than the ice spells you might see that the flame armor resists. But with a ribbon on him, who cares?
So it doesn't have the same defensive properties, but by the way, the Red Wizard can equip the Zeus Gauntlet. So I kind of thought that would be where it would go for him, but it didn't, so...
Maybe his, his knight just wants to feel like the king of the gods.
Sun Sword, that is a very nice find.
As is the Thor hammer. Sun Sword is definitely worth putting on his fighter at this point. It is the best sword we've seen so far for him. Oh, wait, he has Vorpal. I take it back.
He has Vorpal, and the Red Wizard is able to equip Sun, so he's got two very decent swords now.
Although really, without weapon fixes on, Vorpal is just kind of a mediocre silver sword with a little bit better hit. Sun Sword does have an extra 8 attack and a little bit more hit, so Sun Sword is the harder hitting sword currently.
And Brottster going to go around and take advantage of the opportunity now to get some magic in Melmond.
Yep, fast is a nice pickup.
Was it Brottster who translated the slab earlier? It looks like he's going to check either way.
He did remember. Well played, Brottster.
Good call.
Alright, and Sho's sadness is... Oops, sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying to remember 45 minutes later that you needed to talk to him. That is a good move.
I usually end up getting all the way through the forests of the toga partiers, and then get up to their front door only to realize I don't speak their language. Yeah, Sho has got to be feeling behind right now, having he's basically checking the last place in the game that the floater could be at this point.
Yeah, he's already now had 3 plays not work out for him, I would say, would be how he would view it. He would say the Ice Cave didn't work, Ordeals didn't work, and then Marsh Cave didn't work, so...
It'll be interesting to see what Sho's kind of catch-up strategy is going to be. Brottster has taken the time to look for other chests, and was rewarded with a Sun Sword and an extra ribbon. So right now he's picking up gold bracelets for the rest of his party members, so he's going to be a little bit better equipped than Sho by the time they get to the same places in the game. So Sho's not completely out of this, but I definitely give the advantage to Brottster right now.
And I like that term. I like the term advantage over lead. I don't really think anybody has a lead until they go into Temple of Fiends.
Yeah, although Temple of Fiends is the great equalizer. But yeah, I do agree with you, Triton. That is I would tend to agree with you on that one, especially in a randomizer where, any enemy can have any crazy spell, and how you react on the fly to, different situations that present themselves is definitely the sign of a good runner.
Yeah, will you remember where the bottle is? Will you remember to go get the chime? Will you get into the sea shrine? Will you have any issues there? There's just so many factors that are still undecided.
Yep.
And we find Warp at level 7.
Ooh. Is his Black Mage even high enough level to have more than one cast of that?
I don't think so. Wall's at level 7 as well, but you may as well pick it up while you're here because you're not coming back.
Pretty much. With 2 ribbons, Wall a little less important, but still useful.
So Sho will now work his way through the Earth Cave, and soon we'll find out this is where he's going to wish he'd come first.
Yeah. If you listen carefully, you'll be able to hear the sound of somebody chewing on their controller in about 2 minutes here.
Did Brottster just skip the other 2 magic shops?
He might have. But, you know, with, even if he finds, you know, Nuke in there, I'm not sure how, you know, many casts he's going to get of it.
But Life 2 is still outstanding, isn't it?
Is what still outstanding?
Life 2.
Oh, yeah, you are correct.
So that would justify, even if you've only got one of those at level 8, I'd still want it instead of not.
I'm seeing some discussion in chat right now about the Vorpal Sword. Vorpal Sword is definitely an interesting item, but without weapon fixes turned on, the Vorpal Sword in this current seed is kind of in its original kind of semi-bug state. The Vorpal Sword in the weapon fixes are off right now. It means it only has 24 attack and 25 hit percentage, which puts it on pretty much similar bar. The Silver Sword has 23 attack compared to the Vorpal's 24. So all the Vorpal really has over something like the Silver Sword is just a little bit more hit. So in this particular seed, the Sun Sword is, you know, objectively a better weapon.
Vorpal would never call Life 2 at level 8.
Oh yeah. Vorpal does have a 34% crit rate over something like the Sun Sword, but yeah, even that, in my opinion, is not worth the trade-off you get for losing all that attack damage.
So Sho will make his way out of the Earth Cave now, and he'll get to go over and get his airship.
I have a question in chat. I did sort of explain that semi-poorly. One of the big problem with weapons in the vanilla version of this game, and what the weapons fixes flag fixes, is that in the original game, each weapon was supposed to have kind of an independent crit rating or critical attack rating that kind of governed its, you know, chance to hit critically. But in the vanilla game, it was bugged, and instead of being given that value, it was just given, you know, the value that the item was in the weapon table. So the further on you get in the weapons table, like the weapons that show up later in the game, they have progressively more and more crit rating. So that means, you know, early game weapons that should have had maybe a higher crit rating have stupidly low ones, and the late game weapons like the Masamune, which is the last weapon in the table, has an absurdly high 40% crit rate, which is way higher than intended. It was only intended to have a half of that at 20. So weapon fixes do affect different weapons differently.
Level 7 Nuke and Exit.
A lot of really good spells at level 7 and 8 this seed.
He also picked up some soft potions, which are like the Naga has Zap.
The black shirt.
You have 2 ribbons.
The black shirt, believe it or not, does protect against time magic, which is what Zap is. So the black shirt on that black mage did keep him alive through Zap. Wow.
What kind of video game testing do people think it had during the 8-bit days? They made sure the game didn't crash, if you're lucky.
Yeah, it's this game is the vanilla version of this game is just a glorious collection of bugs. There are a few NES games that are almost defined by their bugs.
So, by the way, my 2 favorite dungeons in the game to be in Go mode for are Sea Shrine and Earth Cave, and they don't get to 100% Go mode Earth Cave, but mostly.
Oh, interesting. I think Sho's going back for the tail.
He's coming back for the tail. Make a liar out of me, Sho. Thanks a lot. Oh, is Brottster maybe checking the incentives?
He might. I think he was checking to see if weapon fixes are on, actually.
Okay, would make sense. You don't have to memorize everything.
This is an interesting play by Sho. I wonder if he thinks that his opponent did not go to Ice Cave and therefore wouldn't have the tail. If you feel like you're behind going back for the tail, this will definitely be a question I'm gonna want to ask Sho in the post-race interview. What he was thinking for the tail play here. I don't think it's good or bad. I just think it's a really interesting choice.
Well, also no exit, no warp. So he will have to walk out of here.
He's also enjoying the lovely unrunnable wizard fight. Meanwhile,
Minochi makes an interesting point that maybe at this point Sho is banking on just a loaded Temple of Fiends and the tail being essentially necessary.
Certainly possible. I mean, it is definitely a safe play to make. I don't think it's a bad choice. I just think it's a really interesting one. I think if I were personally in Sho's shoes, I would feel like I was really behind and might have to make some kind of crazy plays to make up for it.
Do you think your feet would be uncomfortable, though, with the different size shoes? It's 2:30 a.m.
Like my brain was like, that joke is so lame, I'm not even gonna laugh. And then it went so far in the other direction that it became funny again. So, well played, sir. You got me. You win.
So, Brottster's levels are getting there. In this round, I would like to be somewhere around level 25 for Temple of Fiends, dealing with the Fiends. And he's up in the 22 range.
Yeah, I'd say with 140%.
So again, let's say thank you to everyone who's putting in the late night with us. A good number of you have decided that this was worth watching tonight, and we appreciate you being here. Brottster gonna heal up in preparation for fighting Kraken. Well, not quite yet, but soon. Sho gets the tail he came here for. Question in chat, what's the average runtime for this randomizer? It's going to vary wildly based on seeds. This one wouldn't surprise me at all if we're south of the 145 mark. But we should definitely be under 2 hours. Unless something insane happens in Temple of Fiends. Files, I'm not hearing you anymore, and you have disconnected from Discord, so apparently the reason why is internet problems or something to that effect, and he'll let me know when he gets back. So Sho will pick up the rod and then continue on in the Earth Cave. And Kraken will be terminated by Brottster. He's got himself an orb. Don't forget to go to the waterfall. Ignore the song, chase your waterfalls. You're here! Oh,
It
look at
wasn't
that
a
positioning for Ruby.
it wasn't a blue screen, but I did freeze.
Okay. We've just found Ruby in Titan's Cave, by the way.
Oh, awesome! I'm loading up the streams as we speak. Did I miss any other hot action?
We had Kraken go down. Brottster's now in the waterfall. Sho picked up the rod, so he's going to finish the Earth Cave.
I desperately need to know the status of Out of Bounds Bat. Have we missed him yet?
We would not have missed him yet.
Alright, I'm back in. I'm live. I'm seeing lots of sweet Final Fantasy action.
See, the first joke that came to mind there, I'm restraining myself on because I'm thinking, no, that could be considered a knock on our runners, and I'm not going to do that because they're providing us this high-quality, entertaining run at 2:30 in the morning.
It's still hot Final Fantasy randomizer action, my friend. Alright, so for those who don't know, Out of Bounds Bat is an interesting bat. There is a bat that the developers for some reason chose to spawn on the border between the walls in this map. So he has a 50-50% chance of either moving inbounds or moving out of bounds. So we like to see Out of Bounds Bat go out of bounds and wave at him.
However, Sho is currently passing the 3 even better bats right now because they're up in that room and you never even see them.
That's a location I lovingly refer to as the Bat Cave. I like to name my characters Bruce and Alfred and hang out in there.
Do they have a red phone in there?
Brottster, checking out Out of Bounds Bat, respecting the memes. People's champion. And the immortal vampire goes down.
Oh, we got the ice sword in the waterfall cave, but that's not useful at this point. The opal bracelet, however, is useful at this point, and any point, whichever it decides to show up. So that's pretty good.
You know what else is useful? Is the cube.
Well, that would be the reason you came here, so hopefully you remember to get it.
I feel like there's been at least one race I've played where I went into Waterfall Cave and forgot to talk to the robot and had to run back in again. I feel like that's happened to me.
How far away do you think you got?
I feel like I would have cast exit and or warp, saved, and been like, I am a huge idiot, and then had to run back in again. Alright, so Sho making his way through Earth Cave here. Brottster did leave as soon as he got the floater, and is, I think, only now making his way back. Choosing to check, is still more chests here.
There's still another ribbon, there's still the Moss Immune, and the Adamant, which all could be useful. And the Aegis Shield. So there's still a few things out there.
I feel like at 140% enemy scaling, the Sun Sword is more than adequate. But I'm not the one sitting in this seat feeling the pressure, so I can definitely understand wanting to check these kind of low-hanging fruit chests that are easy to pick up. Brottster getting his fair share of fights in here for all the ruby he's going to get. I have a feeling our Titan is going to go hungry unless he decides to, nope, casting exit.
At the risk of possibly doing a commentator's curse, we really haven't seen any troll monsters in a while. Not that kind of troll. But
just literally a troll shows up. Oh no, he's feeding the Titan. Well played, Brottster.
Well, it was faster that way.
Wow, so we got literally trolled, and then Brottster made me a liar almost at the exact same moment. So these runners just trying to make me look stupid, which is a pretty easy task.
And down goes Lich.
Alright, so that is the Earth Orb lit for Sho.
So Brottster will have to make his way all the way through here. Sho, I think, will probably go over to Elfland to pick up the bottle, but he's not. He's going for class change, maybe?
Trying to land directly in the Cardi Island caves. Unfortunately, they won't let you do that. Some good knight equipment here. Did we miss the dragon armor on Brottster's side earlier, or did he just not check that one cave?
That's an interesting question. I didn't see him pick it up. We'll see next time he's on his armor screen, but I don't remember seeing it there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he has the opal armor on, but I've been wrong before, and I'll be wrong again. Sho's gonna be glad to see both the Sun Sword and the Thor Hammer, I think.
Minochi is saying he bailed before getting the dragon arm.
Cool, yeah. Thanks, Mono. I didn't think he had grabbed it, but I wanted to double check. Chat backing me up. Good job, chat. And by chat, I mean Mono specifically right now. Alright, so we got ourselves a class change for Sho. He's going to throw that dragon armor on. Dragon armor is objectively the best armor in the game available for a knight. Has a very high defensive rating and does protect against fire, lightning, and ice elementals.
I think the important question is being asked by Minochi. How did you read that if you have him blocked?
That's a good question. I'm actually watching chat through a view window of another program. Yeah, that must be it. I'm gonna stick with that. Yes. Also, what Hefe said. Yeah, I like that idea better. It's simpler.
But he can hear me talking to you, so that doesn't work.
So anyway, this run, hype, super hype.
Hey, class change for Sho.
Yeah, I think right now they're both at 2 crystals. So it appears like they're tied, but Brottster definitely still has an advantage right now. Sho could definitely close the gap a little bit if he chooses to check a little bit less of these free chests than Brottster did. But he's definitely going to be happy to pick up ribbon number 2 in this Cardi Islands chest here.
And why wouldn't you be? The biggest time save is going to be going through Sea Shrine in Go mode and lesser extent Mirage Tower in Go mode. Sky Castle is definitely better when you don't have to check anything.
And I'm real curious with Sun Sword and a second ribbon if Sho is gonna feel comfortable enough and feeling behind enough to want to just blast through the rest of the seed and see how the Temple of Fiends treats him. And yes, a question in chat. We're a little more inside jokey than usual, Zelnap. I'm not actually ignoring Mono. He's currently doing the restream for this excellent broadcast, so I am not actually ignoring him. Alright, so Brottster making quick work through the Earth Cave, facing the first fiend you normally encounter in this game. But he's going to make quick work of him.
Lich has Dark. We didn't get to see that earlier. Not that it will matter.
Yeah, he's going to be pretty super dead.
He already was. He's a Lich.
Oh no, you're right. He's super unre-dead.
I'm not sure if that logic works out, but it's 2:30. I'm not thinking of it.
He's super undead reverse mega re-dead. So, figure out what that means and show me the work. I'll be impressed.
That's not compensation enough. He didn't check the other magic shop either.
Trin's just offended. You guys are jerks. Ooh,
I mean, if you didn't have class change, I can understand not checking it.
Did he buy the bottle already, or did he forget about it at Elfland, or why did he check that Oasis? I'm very confused.
I think he forgot it's in Elfland.
Oh, he did. Oh no, Sho. When you're behind, you can't afford these kinds of
You
mistakes.
can't run from this fight, Sho. Thank you.
You remember before he got all the way through.
Yeah, that would have been unfortunate.
Wow, those are some cat men over there. But they fade away pretty quick. That joke is for you, Edgeworth, if you ever watch this VOD.
They need to go take a nap.
They do. Alright, so we see, since Sho's already here, he's going to pick up that cube, but I bet he's kicking himself for not picking up that bottle in Elfland. For those of you new to this randomizer, you cannot enter the Sea Shrine without first freeing the fairy from her bottle and getting the oxyale from her, from another town, which lets you breathe underwater. So that little bit of a sequence misstep is going to cost Sho precious minutes he can't afford to lose here.
Which, by the way, good job by Sho here to not compound the error. Don't leave without that cube, because you're in go mode anyways once you have the bottle. So now you're going to have to fly over by the ferry anyways, get the chime, do the Mirage Tower first, then come over to the Sea Shrine, which you can only do if you get the cube first. So this makes the rest of your routing better by not compounding the error and just leaving.
Yep, yeah, I do. It's a nice recovery strat. I do agree with you on that one. Yeah, I do see people in chat talking about kind of the mechanics of the ferry. In the randomizer, at the very least, I think this is true of the original game, although someone in chat can correct me. You can release the ferry anywhere. The game will kind of mark her status as freed, so you could free her literally at the same place you bought her, and she will make her way to Gaia and give you the oxyale as soon as you talk to her.
At the risk of contradicting you at 2:45 in the morning, no, you can't release her in the same place because you'd have to be inside the Oasis to get her, and you'd have to be outside the Oasis to release her, so not actually the same place.
I just got rules lawyered. I love it.
Brottster is checking treasure chests?
Wow, maybe he's just grabbing this one on his way up. I do see some runners do this. They'll swing either right or left and pick up the chests here, just kind of on their way up the Sky Castle. Maybe that's what he's doing?
Well, still another Riven out there, still Mouse Immune out there.
It's an interesting decision. I really hope he's not going to continue to check chests all the way up here. I'm assuming he's just checking that one-sided one.
I can't imagine, because the other thing is they got into go mode pretty early and we're at 1:30 in. There's no guarantee Brottster thinks he's ahead here.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you on that one. I'd say for how quickly things were, although, I mean, how many people are going to go to Earth Cave immediately?
Well, you might be having internet problems again, but yeah, can't remember if Brottster went to Ice Cave first or not. I think he did, and then went to Earth Cave, so yeah, I think he would expect that Sho would have done something similar rather than go to Ordeals. But again, that might be an interesting question to ask when we get to talk to the runners. There's the cloth treasure chest I've been teasing y'all seed. And we are coming up on one of the most important parts of the game, the Bridge of Destiny. So chat, how many war mechs do you think we'll see? Between the two runners, will we see 0 war mechs? Will we see 1? Will we see 2? Will we see 5? Make your pick now. How many war mechs will we see tonight? I always hate getting too many encounters when I'm doing this section of the Sky Castle because I find it entirely too easy to forget how many screens I have walked in which direction. A glare will take out the red mage. Get the recovery strats going there. 1/64th of a war mech. I'd be very interested to see how that works. Brottster getting a lot of encounters on this floor. And I don't think Sho remembers which shop the bottle is in. So he seems to be looking through all the early game item shops trying to find it. And the hat is down again on Brottster's side. Beating up on him tonight. And the double stuns on the other two, so you've only got one chance to get away here. I hear keyboard typing. Do we have you back, Files? Maybe not. Sho, meanwhile, is about to find the bottle. And Brottster able to get out of that fight. They're very happy to. And he gets to the bridge. The only place in the game where you can encounter Warmech. And always the great question whether or not you will see one. Sho, who hopefully has a nice translated slab, but I think he did that early. He's going to let the Tyro go away and make his way to the Toga party to get the chime. We have a Warmech, and he opens up with fire too. And he goes with Nuke. Ooh, and that Nuke hit pretty good.
Alright, I swear.
He kept his white mage up by 16 hit points.
Oh, did I just miss a Warmech? Curse you,
Warmech
computer.
with Nuke.
Oh, a Nuke Warmech? That is
He
scary
opened with
stuff.
Fire 2, round 2 he did Nuke, and the white mage just barely lived, or that could have been a disaster.
Oh, curse you, computer. Who had it? Was it Sho or Brott?
Brott. Sho just got the bottle. And he's making his way to the Toga party. Looks like he might opt to keep the Black Mage down for now. I assume would revive him for the fight. He won't for the Fiend fight. He'll go with just the 3. Interesting decision as Tiamat opens up with Blaze.
420 Tiamat it. Looks like we got a chime pickup by a Sho.
Not a lot of melee damage on that hit. Not a lot at all. Looks like this Tiamat's got some pretty high absorb.
Fade did some pretty good damage though.
And there goes Tiamat. I'm being told in chat he only had 1 life charge remaining. Okay, I buy that, but did the Red Wizard not get life, or did he just not go back to the shops?
Yeah, perhaps he was also out of charges? I was too
Well, I
busy
guess he
red
hasn't
screen.
been back to Elfland, so he wouldn't have had a chance to get it for the Red Wizard or possibly the Knight.
Alright, Sho finally making his way up to Gaia to pick up his slightly late ferry.
And this is interesting. Where is Brottster going? Oh, apparently he decides he wants those extra life. But the Red Wizard can't learn it. Better to have checked and been sure than not to have checked at all. Somewhere out there, Files is probably yelling at his computer screen at this point. Mirage Tower, Sky Castle, pretty quick to go through when you don't need anything. Although if you didn't have stuff like ribbons at this point, you might go through that third floor room, especially where you've got a bunch of treasure chests close together and it's a handy place to check. And we will get our first runner going back 2,000 years in the past at 1 hour 40 minutes. So we've seen one instance of nuke, we've not seen the other, plus there's a nuclear out there. Haven't seen Death Touch or Stone Touch accounted for yet. So there is still plenty out there that can mess you up, including Poison, which is going to prompt a reset out of Brottster. They are... well, they have Vorpal and they have Sun Sword, so both of those are being used right now to answer a question in chat. Brottster didn't like what he got, so he resets and will go back in. Now, you can't do RNG manipulation to the extent you can in the round 1 flags or in the vanilla, but you can still do some manipulation. If you know a fight is coming in the encounter table, you can take it on an earlier floor. So there's still a little bit you can do. And now we'll get to see what gas dragons have. This
All right,
is
I
an
apologize for
fight.
the popping in and out. I think I might have solved my issue here, so I apologize, chat, but I think I'm back for good.
Oh, I just said you probably threw your computer into the nearest lake by now.
I got a whole bunch of different trash bags, and I tried to randomize which one I would throw, use to throw my computer into. But then I dropped it on my toe and decided it was, too much work.
So we saw Brottster run into the Chimera fight, and they unleashed poison on him. He didn't like it and reset. And Sho's about to get to look at this Tiamat, who's got a pretty high absorb.
I feel like Chimeras with poison seems, a little like a lore win, because aren't they supposed to have some kind of scorpion tail?
You sure
I might be remembering my
Sphinx?
I could be. I could be remembering my ancient beasts incorrectly.
And Brottster now getting an unrunnable fight with the frost giants and dragons. Not dragons, wolves. May as well be dragons.
The nice thing about Temper being so accessible and low level with lots of charges is all it takes is a few charges of Temper for a Sun Sword to start looking like a Masamune almost, with a slightly lower crit rate. Yeah, so Temper can definitely kind of make a pretty decent sword out of what they've got.
I think for round 1 and 2, you would see a lot of runners feeling comfortable enough to go ahead with just an ice sword.
Yeah,
so even below the Sun Sword.
I think the highest crit weapon that these runners have seen is the Vorpal, if I remember correctly. And a couple shots of Temper are enough to definitely shoot that up pretty high.
So now with the Sky Shrine finished off, Sho is going to take another crack at this whole T-Shrine thing.
Decides he didn't like the spells that were available in only that white magic shop and decides to leave. Oh no, he's getting trolled by that guy. Okay, he got good patterns there.
The Earths will be an unrunnable fight for Brottster. I was also running through the list of the things we haven't seen so far, so we know there's a nuke, a nuclear, Death Touch, and Stone Touch still unaccounted for.
That is very true. Chat is correcting me. It looks like a chimera. The poison I was thinking comes from the tail that was a snake's head. So I was thinking some kind of scorpion tail, but you know, snakes are typically venomous, so I maintain that my joke was still solid.
Solid enough for 3 in the morning.
We take what we can get around these parts.
We're about to get our first look at Lich 2, by the way.
Scariest part about Lich 2, in my opinion, is his access to the entirety of the final boss randomized spell and skill sets. So Lich 2 could definitely be casting Nuke or Nuclear. Or Whirl or anything else that's gross.
So if you Brottster, maybe a Tornado comes out from Lich. For Brottster, you maybe are thinking one eye over on seeing if your opponent's about to dot done as he gets by Lich. And on the other hand, maybe you're starting to feel a little bit better about where you are, considering your opponent has not dot done.
Typically, when I get a seed that appears to be free for how early the, all the required items were, I start to really worry that one of these Temple of Fiends bosses is some kind of gatekeeper that is just terrible and has an awful spell selection.
Which is still not off the table.
No, we've got both Secret Boss Kraken 2 and Tiamat 2 still potentially gatekeepers in this race. Brottster getting a lot of encounters on the fire floor, but that's not actually a terrible thing, because a lot of these are runnable and a lot of the encounters in the water floor are not.
That is a lot of encounters. I've actually been wondering if it's faster to run from if it's just one thing, is it faster to run from it or to one-shot kill it?
Typically, I split the difference. In my matches, I will one-shot kill it with my black belt or fighter and then run with everybody else.
So then let RNG decide to what happens.
It seems quite apropos for a randomizer. Alright, let's see what carry 2 has got here, besides 6 swords.
And a tail. Snake's tail. Not a poisonous tail.
Yeah,
no
I can't make the same
about
joke.
Anything else being poisonous, though.
Mediocre attack and lit too. She's looking pretty tame so far.
Meanwhile, we've got a show over on Kraken 1. And it doesn't look like he's going to put up much of a fight.
And Brottster is going to be on his way towards Kraken 2 here. He's taking some time to prepare for the potential water encounters on this floor, which could be a little brutal. They are unrunnable and tend to hit pretty hard. And speak of the double.
If your
Still has
show,
plenty of fade charges left, though.
If your show, you have to be wondering what's going on, in that he knows he went to wrong dungeons, he knows the routing didn't work out for him, but his opponent still has not finished yet at 148.
Yeah, he's definitely got to be wondering exactly where his opponent is and what they're potentially being slowed up on. Still, that is, I believe, the 4th lit crystal for show. So he is not wasting any time going straight from the last orb dungeon to Temple of Fiends. Can't say I blame him. Alright, so we are one wipes difference away from winner or loser here.
He will not find out what the Chimera fight has. He got a little bit better steps there.
He's actually had a pretty incredible early run in through this Temple of Fiends, but that just means that the Earth Cave portion of his run is going to be monster-filled.
think we saw anything too hideous out of the Earth floor. Although, actually, no, I'm thinking of something
Medusas
else.
had squint, that's all I remember. I think those are the regular ones, not the Gur Medusas.
I realized I was confusing something with the red gargoyles, which I would not want to see more of at this point.
Yeah, we're not seeing those scared. I think the red gargoyles win the award for biggest jerk vanilla enemy in this seed. What with their crack and they had something else, a squint.
I don't know. Warmech had nuke.
Although
I mean,
honestly,
really, the only thing red gargoyles had on Warmech is one, they were earlier, and two, there's more of them.
that is true. I can't argue with your logic, sir.
Don't sell yourself short. I'm sure you could argue with it if you really wanted to.
Brottster with the standard Kraken 2 preparation, putting his hardest hitting guy in the back so that he isn't molested by the tentacle feelers of Kraken, who has some of the hardest hitting melee attacks in this game.
And looks like he's got some pretty good absorb, too.
This could be the first boss that really tests the limits of exactly how good this Sun and or Vorpal Sword is.
The advantage to the time they have had to invest in other places is they've gotten some more levels. If you were 4 or 5 levels lower than this would be a really uncomfortable fight.
Well, if you can survive to get quite a few buffs of temper up, although those are some pretty good fade rolls that seem to have paid off for Brott there, because that is a dead Kraken too. Definitely a bold move to go offensive instead of defensive on Kraken 2. Didn't see a lot of attacking from her there.
I do love that he healed up before moving. That is a thing with me.
Yeah, you typically want to be pretty good health when you're wandering around the Temple of Fiends or visiting.
Especially after Tiamat. That is... People have heard me talk about this before. I won't take a step until I have healed. Because I know I'm usually getting another fight after Tiamat.
I mean, if past trends are any indication, that sounds about right.
I think that's when I got my very first playthrough. One fight after Tiamat, and then ever since then, that seems to be the most common thing that happens. You get more than one, but one seems to be...
Everyone's got that one thing in a randomizer where it just really bit them in the butt, and they just avoid it like the plague afterwards.
A hard hit there against the red mage. But Tiamat goes down at 153. So
yeah, we've got a couple of red mages in dire straits on both sides of the runner's screens here.
Well, they'll do the Walk of Life, or Spell of Life, and head up to see Chaos. And at 153, not seeing the dot done, Brottster has got to be thinking either I'm in good shape, or this is going to be a very bad fight.
Yeah, Brottster is one fight away from closing or cinching his victory in the loser bracket and keeping his tournament dreams alive. But all it would take is one awful wipe on this last boss to make a difference.
This time he is going to opt for using the Invis 2 strats.
That is smart. I do support this decision. Base Chaos has 2,000 health, so the randomizer can spin him up a little bit higher than your typical boss.
Sho, meanwhile, is on the fire floor and has to be wondering if he's going to encounter a gatekeeper fiend considering the time.
He might have a little bit more trouble with Kraken and Tiamat than Brottster did, just because of his levels being a little bit lower. We've got quite a few Invis stacks going here. Once you start hitting 4, 5, and 6 layers of Invis too, you're starting to feel pretty good about your dodge chances. But 8 hits and with a crit for only 110 damage means Chaos could be a little bit beefy.
Well, now he'll start stacking the tempers.
That was a little bit more productive with damage.
Yeah, still going to take a while. And by the way, speaking of enemy skills still out there, we haven't seen Cure 4, so that could still be in the rotation here.
That is frightening, sir. But definitely possible.
Nuke doing 100 damage, Fade close to 300. Still between the two, 400 damage is not bad. Much better hit there for the Sun Sword.
Yeah, those temper stacks increasing the base attack damage of the Knights is definitely making the difference here. Yep, though that's a big 900 hit. I think barring any insanity, this could be pretty much it for Brottster winning here.
Out of Fades using the Thor's Hammer against Chaos.
At that point, it's almost faster to just stop wasting time in menus and just pick run. Alright, we'll see how big a hit this. Nope, there it is.
Not the greatest damage, but it's a damage enough, and GG to Brottster.
Yeah, well played to Brottster. So that does mean that Brottster does advance in the Garland bracket, or the losers bracket in this tournament. And unfortunately, that does put an end to ShoFukomachi's tournament dreams, but still putting up a pretty impressive time considering he essentially full cleared this entire seed.
Brottster with an official time of 1:56.24. And Sho, you have to assume, is going to finish it out from here. But also is probably wondering about a few of those decisions along the way. What could I have done?
Yeah, the big turning point for this seed was definitely once they finished Ice Cave. That was the difference maker there. The Ordeal's Marsh check just did not pay out for Sho.
And in fact, Sho going back to Ice twice. Because after checking it, he left, but then went back to get the tail again.
Can't say I mean, I definitely understand the decision. You know, he didn't know exactly where it was, but it does mean that, you know, he ended up having to do, of the 3 non-required dungeons, he did 4 of them.
This is true. Hoping we get Brottster in here with us shortly.
Yeah, I'll see if I can't wrangle him up here.
Well, he's got his audio settings up, so I assume he's getting ready. Oh, look at the doggy driving the car.
That's just totes adorbs.
Hey, Brott.
Hey, how's it going?
When did you feel less worried?
Never.
that was just like the start of that seed was so promising, and then Defined Floater in Earth Cave always just feels bad.
Yeah, when I wiped at the very start, I was like, okay, here we go.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that wipe was. I mean, there's no way around it. You got boned in the Temple of Fiends, unfortunately.
Ha ha ha.
I have been listening to this kind of thing all night, just so you know.
The best parts of Triton's night were when when my computer froze and there was just blissful silence on my end.
Oh yeah, computer problems.
Oh yes, but that's neither here nor there. Let's discuss the seed. By the time you found your go mode item, you were sitting at 1 ribbon. What, like, kind of how confident were you feeling? What was gonna make you stop checking chests at that point?
Well, I had at the end of the game there, I only had the Sunsword and the Vorpal, and I was kind of hoping to find Adamant or Mass Moon, but
Sure. Who isn't?
I wasn't too concerned about it. That's why I just checked like the close chests, right? Like in Air, I checked. I think it was 9. I think there's 5 in the one on the right and 4 right beside the portal there.
Sure, yeah, I can't say I blame you for that. I mean, if you had found Mass Moon, it would have more than made up for that time.
Yeah.
So, Brott, this kind of raises an interesting question which came up in chat earlier. What's the lowest sword you would feel comfortable with having gone forward? Obviously wanting more, but what would you have felt comfortable? What would
honestly,
you take?
Well, in my first round, I went in with just a verbal, and weapon stats weren't on, and for some reason I thought weapon stats were on this, but I didn't know for sure. Like, I thought they were, and then I kind of second guessed myself, and so I ended up checking.
Yeah, we saw you opening up your randomizer mid-match
really?
to double check. Yeah, we're like,
yeah,
I
think makes sense. Yeah,
I think he's checking to see if weapon fixes are on.
Yeah, I was wondering between that and if you were checking to see if something was incentivized.
I knew nothing was incentivized, but I almost always go Earth after Volcano. After if you don't find Floater, I just do that. But I know Sho always goes to Ice Cave if in that same situation, like if he doesn't find Floater and Volcano. So I assumed he was going Ice Cave, and I didn't want to get left behind, so that's why I went there.
Now, I'm trying to remember this correctly. You're the one who got the Warmac, correct?
Yeah. And he obliterated 2 of my guys, and I only had 1 life charge left, so I had to make a decision.
And you got through that with your white mage with 16 hit points.
That was planned.
100% calculated, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. However, one could calculate at 3 in the morning, but
yeah, props to you guys for pulling off such a good performance at such a late hour.
Yeah, it was. We were talking earlier in the day about it, and I didn't think I'd be up for it, and we just decided to. I don't know.
Man mode randomizing, I like it.
Well, the old random. Let's get a race going. I'm sure the people watching were happy, and a shout out to you guys for doing this in such short notice, and everyone involved. The tracker, whoever the tracker is, I didn't actually look, but props to them, and for everyone watching. It's always good to have people interested in this, and someone should drop a Discord link in the chat. If you guys haven't checked it out yet, definitely check it out. Everyone here is super nice, and actually, I will have to say that I started running this mid-August, and it was probably around the same time, like 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, and Sho actually taught me how to use Merc and how to stream, like how to use Twitch, because I've never done it before, and he was the one that actually helped me get started in this. So
yeah, Sho's a solid guy.
Shout out to him as well.
And by the way, Sho getting Chaos down now.
Nice.
Sho finishing on the official SRR race time of 2 hours, 4 minutes, 3 seconds. So GG to him. We'll see if we can't get Show in here for some post-racing interview action.
Chat, by the way, if you've
So-
got any questions for either of our runners, feel free to stick them in there.
So I do have a question. Did Show go to ice after Volcano, like I was saying he usually does, or did he do something totally different? I'm curious.
He did in fact
He did
go to ice.
Yeah.
And then he went to Ordeals.
Was there anything
And
good?
he went to Marsh.
Oh no, I got super lucky then. Like that's 2 places I didn't check. That's definitely takes a little more than 8 minutes to clear those 2 things. Wow.
Yeah, he. I mean, they were all reasonable plays at the time. I don't necessarily blame him for them. I mean, you guys were neck and neck. I mean, it was like 45, 48 minutes in the seed. I mean, you guys were like 12 or 15 tiles away from each other. I mean, it was a pretty close race until the route diversion there.
Wow.
You guys were like 12
Wow.
or 15
Yeah, if
tiles away from
nothing
each other.
was
I mean,
in
it was
Earth, I
a
was going to go
pretty
to
close
Marsh
race
after
until
that,
the route
just because
diversion.
the distance Yeah, if between the two. Was in Earth, I was
Good
gonna
game,
go to
Show.
Marsh after that,
GG's,
just
man.
'cause
Congrats.
the distance. Thanks. That was it didn't start out very well. I'll tell you that. I wiped in Temple of the Fiends. Like I got as Files said, I got boned.
Yeah, I actually redid my party sort of because I bought Zap on the Red Mage, and then I saw that Fade was available, and I wanted Fade and Cure 4 and Temper, so I rerolled the beginning.
Oh, we'll chalk that up to the time that we started this race.
I just thought that
chalked
you
everything
were trying
else
to
up to that.
scream via your character names, Show. That's what I thought you were going for.
Oh.
Oh, same. That's why my characters were after my wipe.
So I was saying this to Brad a little bit before you came in, Show, but you guys it was neck and neck for the vast majority of this race in the beginning. I mean, I think right around minute 45, 48, you guys were in Volcano, like within 20 tiles from each other. It was pretty impressive.
Oh man, that's crazy.
Yeah, the big diversion, as I'm sure you probably guessed, Show, was Brad did go to Ice Cave when you did. But after that, he went to Earth Cave, whereas you unfortunately made the Files play and went to Ordeals.
Yeah, and then I did Marsh, and there was nothing there either.
Did you
He
find
also kept the tail
Mass
out
Moon?
of Ice Cave, we should point out. He did that on his first trip.
Yeah, I didn't find Moss Moon. Actually, I didn't have much of anything. I found the Sun Sword.
Yeah, I found the Sun Sword too. First trip to Ice Cave.
Yeah, I did too. After I didn't find anything in ice, I just reset because I just saved at Crescent Lake, and then I went back for the tail so I could get fast on the Black Mage.
Oh yeah.
So
I actually never thought of saving way back and doing that.
I did it because the percentage wasn't very high, so I kind of didn't expect things to hit very hard, and they really didn't. So
No, that makes sense.
I think
And
the
it's
worst
not
part of
So
the worst part of Ice Cave was the trance mages, and I think the sorcerers had blaze or something awful.
sorcerers are like Glance and Toxic and Poison. They had like everything.
I didn't see sorcerers at all, but I definitely almost fell asleep in that mage battle.
Oh man.
Like me personally fell asleep.
Jeez.
Yeah, I think you lost a good 2-3 minutes sitting in front of that trap tile mage chest. That was
Oh
good
yeah,
times for
my
us.
black mage having to stay unstunned for 2 rounds to kill them.
Oh man. Yeah, my party was killed except for my white mage, which had the ribbon, and the sorcerers get casting like Toxic and Glance and Squint.
Oh yeah,
I was
and
just-
volcano enemies were just atrocious. Like the red gargoyles hit me with something. It killed my white mage because I had my ribbon on my fighter for some reason. So I had to reset and put the ribbon on my white mage going forward. And the whiz ogres had rub, and I fought probably 5 times as many whiz ogres as I normally do. I had 2 battles of 3 of them.
Oh man.
And it was just brutal.
And I think I think the red goils had like crack or something. They
I didn't see crack.
Yep.
I just saw. I don't think I saw crack. I saw something else that killed me. I think because it only killed the one person.
because they had
Yeah,
something
Sho
that
was definitely
took
more
over.
troubled by those red gargoyles than you were, Brad.
Yeah, I have to rewatch the VOD because I know I can't remember what the white mage got killed by. It's probably crack. I don't know.
That's something.
It was something. It was all bad.
There was plenty of bad things, including Warmack
Oh,
had Nuke, by the way.
and the encounter rate was just awful.
oh yeah, I found Warmack, or he found me rather. And and I didn't grind Agamas. I think I killed 3 of them, just because I had to, right? But I think they had Squint.
Yes,
I think that's what.
Agabus had Squint.
So I didn't find that out until
Topher?
the carry floor, where I had
Okay.
I must have had like 10 battles on that floor.
I checked. I did one Agama battle, and that was enough because I didn't power level anything this race. I just kind of went as it.
My farming consisted of like killing I 3 times and then just taking a lot of battles, not running from them all.
Yeah, I did that. I did the same.
Yeah, neither one of you guys elected to power level much, and honestly, I think with these 140% max stat rolls seeds, I can't say I really blame you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, in the end, it all depends. Like, because we got fighter, I thought from the beginning, I'm not grinding. If we rolled black belt, then I would have grinded. Like I would have, because I would have had the same party except black belt instead of fighter.
Did
So,
you do triple mages?
Yeah.
Okay.
On this seed or this round flags, I've been pretty much only doing that lately. Just red mage, white mage, black mage.
Yeah, I did the same. Although triple red mages would have been pretty nice to see.
Hell yeah, they would have been.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Nah.
Yeah.
All
the
right,
race.
so. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, the race last night. Triple mages, the fourth party of triple mages and fighter, level 2 fade, level 3 nuke. Oh man, it was fantastic.
That's pretty good.
All right, so with this race, Brottster, you do progress further in the Garland bracket. You do face the loser of the Miat versus Will Bloodworth match. So how do you feel about which way that could go?
Well, if I were to make a prediction, I think Miat's gonna win. I'd say he's top 3 player at this.
Definitely an experienced runner.
And Will's coming along nicely, but I don't think he's on the same level as Miat.
Yeah, Miat is definitely one of the
no,
long-time runners of these.
I'm not trying to disrespect Will at all. I'm not. It's I think I play Will quite often on these, and I beat him consistently, and I think Miat would just crush me. So yeah, that's yeah. Miat, I think he has the record for this. I know quote world record and randomizer doesn't really mean anything except bragging
It
rights.
does show what a runner is capable of, though.
Yeah,
that's true.
So
Will,
yeah,
by the
definitely.
way, says in chat, no offense taken, Miat is a machine.
it is
Well,
true.
the beauty of the randomizer is though, if you're up in a match where you feel there might be a bit of an execution or skill disparity, you can still take wacky gambles. The randomizer can definitely giveth and taketh away.
Absolutely. Well, and I like playing to my opponent. Like I told you before, like I know Sho goes to Ice Cave every time if he doesn't have floater at the end of Volcano. So I just assumed he'd go there. So I wanted to go there so I wouldn't be behind if something was there,
It's true. I tend to go to ice a lot.
So
it's a solid play.
But like I said, I would never have went there. I would have went to Earth right away if I wasn't playing Sho, right? And with Will, as of right now, he is a huge gambler. He checks everything. So, like you just have to change your routing a little bit to accommodate that as well. And Miot, I haven't actually seen him play too much. Well, I haven't watched him too much. So if I end up playing him next round, then I'm gonna have to watch some of his runs to see what his tendencies are.
Nice.
And go from there, you know.
Yeah, well, good luck to you in future rounds of the Garland bracket, Brott, and congrats on your victory today. Any final
Thank
words
you.
from you guys before we hang up the hat for this very late evening of awesome racing?
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say thanks, Sho, for getting me started in this. I said this before you got in here, I believe, but I was just saying how you're the one that started me out, taught me how to use Merc and Twitch, and were super patient with me, even though I was an idiot. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. And I'm sorry for all those that I busted your bracket that picked me to win. But give the commentators a follow. You know, thank you to Randomizer Mania for letting us use this channel. And I bow out respectfully from this tournament, but it was really good and I had a lot of fun. Looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, and if you liked what you saw here, guys, we do have an active community of in the Discord. We do run races of this pretty much every day. There's at least one or two firing off on busier days. There's sometimes more than that. So if you want to hang out with a fun group of like-minded people who like racing wacky randomizer games, come check us out.
Yes.
Thanks
All right.
again, guys.
Yeah. GG again, Brott. Congratulations.
Thanks, man.
Couple
Alright, that
quick
is it.
house cleaning items. We have no official races scheduled right now, but there's probably going to be a showcase race on Saturday. So invite you to stay tuned on the Discord for more updates about that when they become available.
So in the meantime, be sure to watch out this channel and Speed Gaming and other channels for more Final Fantasy Randomizer action. And we will see you guys next mission.
Have a good one, guys.
And one last big shout out to Minochi. We didn't have a lot of people who do the restreaming, but he stepped it up on very short notice to do our restreaming, to do the tracking, and stay up to whatever time this is for him. For me, it's 3:30, and that's late. So thank you, Minochi, so much.
Thanks again for you guys doing this short notice and this late at night.
And thank you, everyone who decided to stick it out and watch us here on Randomizer Mania. Hope you have a great night.